Hi again. We're on page 77 of Three Worlds, Plan of Redemption, Nelson Barbour, Charles Taze Russell. The subhead is now Times of the Gentiles. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. That is Luke 21:24. The only time in the Bible that phrase Gentile times or appointed times of the nations is used. Barbour starts, though the earth is now given up to the undisputed dominion of the Gentiles, the time was when God had a kingdom on earth. Ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, according to Exodus 19 verse 6. And Solomon sat on the throne of the Lord as king, instead of his father David, 1 Chronicles 29:23. And ye think to withstand the kingdom of the Lord in the hands of the son of David, according to 2 Chronicles 13 verse 8. But the Lord permitted his kingdom to be subdued by the Gentiles. Zedekiah was the last of the line of David, who reigned, and from his head the diadem was removed and the kingdom overthrown, but not forever. For it was said to him, Thou profane, wicked prince of Israel, whose day is come, when iniquity shall have an end. Thus saith the Lord God, Remove the diadem, take off the crown, this shall not be the same. Exalt him that is low, and abase him that is high. I will overturn it, and it shall be no more until he comes whose right it is, and I will give it to him. That's Ezekiel 21 verse 25. During this interregnum in God's kingdom between Zedekiah's reign and that of Christ, the four Gentile kingdoms, as foretold by Daniel, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Grecia, and Rome, were to have their day. It was at the beginning of the 70 years captivity of Jerusalem that God's kingdom ended, the diadem was removed, and all the earth given up to Babylon, the first of these four universal Gentile kingdoms. And to Nebuchadnezzar it was said, Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the fields and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee the ruler of them all, ruler over them all, rather. Daniel 2 verse 37. So long as God had an organized reigning kingdom on earth, there could be no universal Gentile kingdom. But when his kingdom was broken up, and he gave all to the Gentiles, the times of the Gentiles began. The times of the Gentiles will end only when God shall reorganize his kingdom and subdue them. In the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, and it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Daniel 2:44. Is the language used in reference to this second change to occur at the end of the times of the Gentiles? It is true that the nationality of the Jews was maintained until after the first advent of Christ, for such was the prophecy. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from his loins, etc., until Shiloh come, and unto him shall be the gathering of the people, according to Genesis 49 verse 10. And although Jerusalem was in the hands of the Gentiles, and had been trodden down by them since its royal overthrow by Nebuchadnezzar, it was not entirely destroyed until after the advent of Christ. The four Gentile kingdoms are called four great beasts that came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon its feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. This will be better understood when we see that Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, has to pass through as a type of the human family in its fall and rising again. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself up on one side, and three ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise and devour much flesh. This one represents Medo-Persia, and the three ribs, the three kingdoms subdued. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. The wings doubtless represent the rapidity of its movements under Alexander the Great, its first king. And the four heads are explained in chapter 8, verse 8, to be four divisions of the empire after Alexander's death. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. That's all Daniel 7, verses 3 to 8. This fourth beast is the embodiment of both pagan and papal Rome. This is a difference with modern Watchtower interpretation of this passage. The beast under which the gospel church has suffered, the one under which Christ himself was put to death. And if Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Grecia could be fairly represented by the lion, the bear, and the leopard, only such a terrible nondescript could represent Rome. And the human family were to be given up to the control of these beasts during the times of the Gentiles. That is, the nations are compared to what God, in these symbols, calls wild beasts. And they have glutted themselves to the full with war, blood, rapine, and murder, which has been their pastime and their glory until history is one continuous stream of the details of man's inhumanity to man. I'll put a link on to the Gentile times. Is that the only time we need to know? Because, of course, it's been foundational for Watchtower understanding of the last days since the very beginning, before the beginning of the Watchtower, in this book, 1877. But the only time we need to know, according to the book of Daniel, is the first coming of Messiah. In other words, Daniel chapter 9, the 70 weeks. So here's a video about that from our Daniel playlist. And also J.C. Ryle on the Gentile times in his Gospel of Luke commentary. If only Russell had listened to Ryle.